Hello, everybody. So I guess Glicked is the next Barbenheimer. My brother and I are going to be discussing this. We're going to be talking about Glicked, man. We're also going to be talking
Yes.
about The Chosen
Mhm.
season 5 teaser has officially come out. We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be hitting up some of the How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch live action animated remakes. All right. Or at least a percentage of it's animated. So please join us this evening. Stick around. We'd love to talk with you guys in the chat. Make sure you leave your comments. Let us know what you guys think of the Wicked movie if you saw it, or Gladiator 2 and a bunch of other stuff. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful Monday night. For
I
Monday always
heard I heard you went to watch the Wicked movie.
I did go watch it. And we'll get into that a little bit later, once we get into that segment, but it was good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did was there a lot of people there?
There was a decent amount. There wasn't, like, a ton, but there was a lot more than most turnouts I've been to for movies recently. Um, I went to a couple over the summer and going into the fall, and there was definitely more to that when I went and saw it on Friday than I have seen in a long time.
All right. When was the last time you think you saw that many people there?
Ooh, I can't even tell you. Probably Oppenheimer?
You think?
Yeah, Oppenheimer, probably.
The Barbenheimer phenomenon? Which is
Yeah.
what we're going to be talking about some. Let's just go ahead and jump into it, shall we? Let's go ahead and jump into this. So
Okay.
apparently, I feel like this is a bit forced. I do
Mm.
feel like it's a bit forced, but it seems like we have found the new, I don't want to be crass, but wet dream for Hollywood is they just want a really big opening weekend. They're just desperately seeking the high of the Barbenheimer phenomenon to the point where they have considered the opening for Gladiator 2 and Wicked, the movies, as Glicked, right? Because Barbenheimer was such a big deal. That's like $2 billion theatrical runs. And they're really wanting this to be the same. However, I really don't think it is. I don't think it could come anywhere close. And I don't think that it has the legs that the Barbie and Oppenheimer did. Now, different than like Barbie, that didn't had like a lot of praise because of all the money it made. But if we're being honest, the audience wasn't like super excited about Barbie. Wicked actually seems to be doing very well. Contrasted, as you see, its Rotten Tomatoes score is in the 90s, the high 90s, right? And then you have Gladiator 2, where it's up from when it did the initial critic reviews that came out that we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's definitely come up with an audience score of 84, but it does not quite have as much love as Wicked. So you went and saw Wicked. I did not. You're
Really,
a big fan of the musicals.
I do like the musicals. Really quickly before I get into, like, actually the Wicked itself, I just did a really quick Google search because I was curious if this is a thing that we've missed, but
Hmm.
Hollywood has been doing this before with the Barbenheimer, the Glicked, and just this is just what Google says off of like a 10-second Google.
Okay.
I said, has there been any other openings, double feature openings like Barbie and Oppenheimer? And it says a few other things that came out on the same weekend was Mamma Mia and The Dark Knight came out
Okay.
on the same weekend. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hollows Part 2 and Winnie the Pooh. I don't know if that seems like that's that big. Magic Mike and Ted came out on the same weekend.
Okay.
Um, Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, and Mission Impossible Protocol came out on the same weekend.
Yeah,
So
but this is the thing.
it seems like they have tried to do kind of this double feature thing for a while, especially with like Mamma Mia and Dark Knight. It's like they're trying to pit. It's like this movie and that movie. This
But
movie.
it's not so much the fact that they have a double feature opening weekend, it's
Mhm.
with big heavy hitters. It's more
Yeah.
so the meme, right? Because the
Mhm.
reason why Barbenheimer was so incredibly successful is not because, like, both audiences loved both movies. Really what it was is
Mhm.
because it became a meme. It became almost an online battle of who was gonna go watch who and which film was gonna come out on top and which film was better, you know?
Yeah.
And it was in a lot of ways, it was kinda boys versus girls in some
Well, I
capacity.
mean, I don't. Yes, for
It's not
Oppenheimer,
a that's a
Barbie.
blanket statement. That's a blanket
Not
statement.
I wouldn't consider that this weekend though, because
Oh,
I
that's what I'm
saw a
saying.
lot of, you know, um, musical theater guys that were
Yeah.
gonna go watch and, before I went into the theater, I went you have to use the restroom real quick, and
Uh-huh.
I walk into the bathroom, and there's a guy, well, he was pooping. He was pooping. And as he was doing his business, he was, you know, belting a song from Wicked, like, just belting in the bathroom,
Well,
and he
it's
was
got good
responding to
acoustics in the
yeah,
bathroom.
he was just, like, letting it rip in
Okay,
more than one way.
all I'm saying is that this is like a forced narrative. So if you take a look at, there's so many articles that look just like this. Glicked, no Barbenheimer, uh, Glicked fails to match last year's blockbuster mashup. It's pretty obvious, but the thing is,
Mhm.
Hollywood is trying to do the
Yeah.
forced meme. All right,
They're
because
trying to force it, which
the only
I
time
think they've
stuff like this works is when it's organic, and when you start forcing it because you're like, "Oh, here's another big double feature. We should do a mashup nickname," that it becomes a whole thing that feels forced, and it only really works if it's organic, like the Barbie and Oppenheimer phenomenon
I
was.
I definitely think it will go a lot more viral. It will go viral if it's more natural and the internet takes it over, but I do think they were a little bit successful with the Glicked. Um, there
I
was
think I think it's just
it
2
was
movies that people have been anticipating, not
yes.
necessarily, like Barbie, people weren't anticipating it. They just heard about it and they're like, "It's a
Mhm.
Barbie movie." And Oppenheimer was a Chris Nolan movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a remake of a very popular stage musical and the sequel to a beloved first movie that
Beloved
came out
movie.
back in 2000. So it's been 24 years.
Mhm.
And basically, okay, so it's opening weekend. Again, we're going into the holiday weekend, so it's pretty much guaranteed that both of these movies are going to continue to do well over the holiday weekend. But
Yes.
currently, Wicked sits at
Oh, yeah.
114 million in its opening weekend, which is pretty
I
big. And
um
then
Where'd
55
you get
million for
that number
Gladiator
from? Because
2.
I had the number when I looked it up because I, teased it on our TikTok a little bit.
Uh huh.
The number that I put out there that I found was 17,000,000. Um,
$17 million.
17 for 17,000,000 for, Wicked and 60 for, Gladiator.
I am
That's
seeing.
not, global, that's United States.
Yeah, so this is so okay, so I'm looking on the website for The Independent. All right. So they're saying that the adaptation of a popular Broadway musical starring Andre Grande Cynthia Erivo
14,000,000.
defied gravity, ranking its
It's in
114 million.
okay, so it's in the teens, 100 and teen millions. Let's just say that
Sure.
because
Sure.
I saw another article that they were claiming 117.
Well, it's possible. This is kind of, I think this is the US and Canada opening. And then 55 million for Gladiator 2. This is the opening weekends. Obviously, Wicked is a lot bigger of a heavy hitter. Now, with
Mhm.
that said, you went to watch the
Wicked.
Wicked movie, okay?
Mhm.
What were your thoughts?
In general or specifically for Wicked?
For Wicked. What did you think? Did you enjoy the movie? Did
So
you, like, say it was
I
good, but it wasn't
thoroughly
my
enjoyed the
thing?
movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I as much as I like musicals, and I am definitely the musical, I would say, if anybody's gonna be the expert on
You're the
musicals,
musical?
it the musical expert of this channel. I
Okay.
wouldn't consider myself an expert really, but I
No.
Wicked is the lowest of the musicals for me because I don't know as much about it. I had never
Mm.
seen it. I didn't know that much about it except for a few songs here and there. And so I was going to it more blind. And I personally, maybe because I was going into it blind, was not blown away by it. But I would definitely say that it was good.
Okay.
It was good, it just did not blow me away.
Does it
I
have you excited for part 2 next
Oh,
Christmas?
yeah, yes, and as soon as I finished watching it, I was like, "Okay, give me a couple hours." By the next day, I was saying, "I wanna go watch it again," because I wanna see if I would like it more if I watched it again. 'Cause I
Mm.
think that's the case. I gave it a 7 out of 10, right out of the theater, but everybody else that I've heard gave it a lot higher
Well,
score,
yeah, Rotten
and
Tomatoes is putting it in the 90s for
yeah, and
both critics
8 and
and
9
audience.
is what I'm hearing most people give it, and so I think for me, I just feel out of going into it blind, not being very versed in Wicked, the play, the musical,
Mm.
that I gave it a little bit lower of a score. But I will say it was good, and I definitely have to just really quickly give it my review. Ariana Grande blew her role out of the water as Glinda. I think she was the best part of that movie, and I wasn't really expecting that, but everybody that I've heard has given Ariana Grande praise for her Glinda. She did a
Well, we know
phenomenal
she's a
job.
good actor.
Yes, but no, even more than I've seen, she played that character just like it was spot on. She played that character spot on, and it was good.
Mhm.
That's all I'm gonna really say
That's all
about
you're
it.
gonna say?
Well, I mean, I don't really have a ton to say except for, it was good. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I'm gonna give props to Ariana Grande specifically because I really liked her performance. She was probably the standout role of the movie.
Let me ask you
Um,
this, you went to watch it with your wife. Has
mhm.
she seen the Broadway or
So
even or know anything about it?
she had not ever seen the actual play or been to the play, but she grew up listening to a lot of the
Okay, the music.
soundtrack, so she was
Yeah.
very excited going into it, and she gave it a 10 out of 10, but I think that was just excitement. I think if she really thought about it, probably like an 8 or 9 out of 10.
Alright, so this is what I'm hearing constantly, even with other people who are in the movie commentary space. All of the guys are like, "It wasn't bad. It wasn't quite my thing." Maybe it was more your thing because you like
It
musicals?
was it was for
'Cause you're a little light
musicals,
in the
I
loafers?
For a musical, I was not blown away. Usually, I'll go into a movie being like, "Wow, that was just it was a fun musical, and I got what I wanted out of it." I
What
just
made it
feel
off? What made it off
I
for you?
I don't know.
Was it
Maybe
the animated? Was it the animation? Because I
maybe the
know
animation
they had a lot of
maybe the
practical
animation,
sets.
maybe the practical sets, yes, but they felt very tight to me. And I know they
Alright.
probably were trying to make it
Claustrophobia.
they maybe they were trying to make it feel like they were on a stage, but it
Uh-huh.
didn't feel good in that sense to me. It felt too like just small room
It
sets.
felt tight.
Yeah,
Everything in
too
Hollywood.
tight, and I didn't care for it. The only time when it did not feel tight was, and this is a spoiler a little bit, but not really. At the end, she gets her broom and
Becomes the
she
Wicked Witch.
she jumps out of the tower and flies on her broom. That was the only time it didn't feel tight to me, and then it became very animated.
Alright, yeah, so then it lost you a bit.
Yeah.
Um, okay. You give it a 7 out of 10.
Mhm.
Your wife gives it an 8, 9 out of 10, alright,
Mhm.
or 10 out of 10, as you said. Do you think it's because if you know the story of Wicked, it's so much more fun? Like,
I
if you
think
knew the
if
stage
if
play
anybody gives
yeah.
it a higher than 7 out of 10, then they're only giving it that for nostalgia. I
Okay.
think I think It was a good movie, but it was not a fantastic movie.
All right, looking at how few real
Mhm.
big successes, enjoyable films Hollywood is putting out lately, do you think that this benefits from the story already existing? Like, they don't have to write a whole new story. They follow the basic plot points of the
Yeah.
stage play,
I
and it actually feels like a more complete story, unlike some stuff we've been getting recently out of Hollywood.
Yes. I've always been the person to criticize, sequels, redos,
Well,
and
this isn't a redo. They've never made a
I mean,
film for this.
not really a redo, but in a sense it is because they already have it's a musical and they're just making a
It's a
movie out of it.
redo, but it's not a remake. It's a first
I
time on the silver screen, man.
it works. I'll say
Okay.
that.
It's got a baked-in audience. Similar
Mhm.
to Barbie, right? Barbie only had, like, little kids'
No.
cartoons,
But
right? Sort of,
no, Barbie
but it's
has
got
a
a baked-in
nostalgia in a
audience.
different way, and you don't know what you're getting into going into the movie of Barbie. Yes, you know Barbie as a doll, but there's no story that you're expecting going into
I mean,
Barbie.
there was Barbie and Toy Story.
Yeah, but you don't have a Barbie story.
Alright, I wanna get to have you heard anybody talk about Gladiator 2 since you and I haven't seen it yet?
Here and there, but not
Alright,
a lot.
this is the
I'm mostly
general
hearing people talk about Wicked more.
This is the general idea, and this is kind of what I said a few weeks ago about Napoleon. All of the battle scenes go by really fast.
Mhm,
The characters are quite shallow, and the motivation and, like, guiding force of the story is a
mhm,
bit all over the place. It's a bit scattered. It's not
mhm.
grounded in reality, and the people who are history buffs are really upset at this. They said that,
Yeah.
like, the real characters from history they included in this, Gladiator 2, as well as the fictional characters, like, the history fanatics are really upset at Gladiator 2, way more than they were at Gladiator 1, and there's not a strong lead character motivation. That's what I'm hearing, and so everyone is saying that as an action flick, it looks cool, but the battle scenes like Napoleon, which was,
Mhm.
which was well, I'm forgetting his name. David Fincher? No, it's not David Fincher. Who's the
You're talking about
director?
the director?
Yeah.
Um, Scorsese.
No,
No,
it's not
no, not
Scorsese.
Scorsese, not Scorsese, blah, 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 blah.
It's Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott, yes.
Okay, so everyone's saying that Ridley Scott is losing his touch because he's getting old.
Was
Because
it
they saw Napoleon, which I saw Napoleon, and I was very disappointed because it was just a slow moving story
I
with
can't
really quick battle scenes. And they're saying that this is similar. It's a slow moving, less interesting characters, less interesting scenes to set up for the motivation, which ultimately feels shallow. And the battle scenes look cool, but they are very fast. They take place in like 3 minutes apparently, as opposed to, like the opening of Gladiator, which was like a really hard hitting battle opening scene for a film, and it lasted for like 10 minutes straight. And then that was how the movie opened. You remember that opening battle scene? I have a video on it on the trail on the channel.
um, was he the director that is kind of spending all his money making
No, no,
something was
no,
that is that
no.
somebody else?
That's the guy who did Godfather.
Okay, Martin Scorsese, yeah.
No, Martin Scorsese. That's not Godfather. Stop saying Martin Scorsese's name. You're thinking of Goodfellas. Martin Scorsese did Goodfellas. The Godfather was done by uh not Mario Puzo, that's the author.
Yes.
Um gosh. my brain is not remembering
For
names
names
tonight.
right now. This is not important. What were you saying about,
Hold on,
Gladiator?
I'm going to correct this. All right, Francis Ford Coppola. He's the guy who spent all his money on
Oh, okay, yes.
Megalopolis. And no, no. Ridley Scott is the guy who did Alien. Remember? He's the guy he's done so many different films. Obviously, he did both
Mhm.
Gladiators. He did, let's see, there was The Last Duel. You remember that one a few years ago?
Yes.
So he's done a
This is
lot of films. He's a very popular director and he's done a lot of good stuff. And he was a part of like you know, the old Hollywood that was really putting out bangers, really creating original IPs like
mhm.
Alien and stuff. But then like he did a couple of the sequel of Aliens that everyone didn't like. So it's like it's hit or miss and it seems like everything's been kind of miss lately. Even the sequels to his original films like
Glad
Gladiator. So
I
I don't know.
personally I heard the story of this movie, and I was very disinterested in I think it's negating the first one. Excuse me. Um, and I'm not interested for some reason. I love the first Gladiator. We've
Mhm.
talked about it. I've seen it a bunch of times. I love that movie. But for some reason, I'm just very disinterested in the second one.
Yeah. I think it'll still have a pretty big Thanksgiving bump
Yeah.
because there's gonna be men that wanna go out to the movies, and they're not gonna wanna go watch Wicked unless their wives and girlfriends make them, you know? So it'll still get a bump from the weekend. There's gonna be people that wanna watch a good,
It's gonna
an
get more too, though.
action, and there's gonna be people that lean towards Gladiator over Wicked, but Wicked is gonna have a massive
Oh,
weekend
yeah.
this coming
I
weekend.
I think, like I said earlier when I was talking about it and giving my review, my thought coming out of it was, I wanna watch it again. I wanna catch it
You
again
wanna watch
and
Wicked again.
and see if what I think the second time. So, I think other people are thinking the same thing. So, we might have, we haven't seen this since Maverick, but people are showing up a second time for this movie,
No,
maybe.
people showed up to Oppenheimer multiple times, which is
You
why
think?
yeah, the IMAX experience for Oppenheimer, yeah. People were watching it multiple times, which is why it got so much which is why it made r just like kissed $1 billion, you
Mhm.
know? Um, I don't know. It'll be fun to see how big Wicked gets, and here's the thing. Although I'm not, like, the biggest fan of musicals like this, I'm not a big fan of, like, the flowery kind of
Mm.
I just know it's not my thing. I am very happy to hear that even though it's not my thing, people are enjoying this and
Yeah.
not calling it a horrible movie. Because whenever there's a horrible movie like Barbie that gets so much attention and makes so much money, there's this weird culture for a while that acts like it was a success, even though people watched it and they were like, ah, don't really care for it. But I did
Yeah.
go watch it because it was Barbie. I'm
I
glad to hear that this is actually a good movie that
it's
for people who like it, you know?
it's kinda interesting that this time go around, I went and saw Wicked and have no interest in watching the Man movie.
All right, let's pivot. Let's pivot. So I want to jump into this. Are live action remakes ruining the originals? All right. So last week there was really big news: How to Train Your
Mhm.
Dragon live action remake. And then today there was some Lilo and Stitch little
Yep.
teaser that came out on YouTube. Let's watch the teaser real quick for the
Okay.
Lilo and Stitch thing. All right. All right. Okay, so it's really just
Mhm.
giving us a first look. I mean, that's all it is. It's really just giving us a
Yeah.
first look of what Stitch looks like, what he sounds like, what he
Mhm.
moves like, you know what I mean?
Which we
There's
kind of already
nothing
got
really
that.
substance.
There was a tiny bit of that where he just pops out of the poster
Yeah.
and goes like this, and then that's it. But,
Yeah.
um, we also since we're talking about live actions really quickly, This is not a teaser trailer or anything, but we also got a lot of news around, or we got some leaked photos of Dwayne The Rock,
I saw that.
Dwayne Johnson on a beach playing dressed up as Maui, filming Moana, which you can also go see. I also posted that on our TikTok account. So if you want to see that, I made a small thing for it on our TikTok account.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which people are saying that he's in a bodysuit. Do you think he's in a bodysuit? It kind of
Yeah,
looks like he is in a bodysuit.
yeah, he's definitely in a bodysuit. That's not that he's a lot more thick in this. Like, he Dwayne is a lot more toned than this
Mhm.
is. And tattoos are slimming, and so the fact that he looks thicker with tattoos all over his body shows that he's definitely in a bodysuit.
He's not far off. That photo that was made with AI of him right there, he's
Yeah.
not that far off
It's
from
not
that,
too far
actually.
off.
It's
It's
not
pretty
really.
close. He's got the hair, yeah, except he has it pulled back there instead of it just being in his face. I don't know if that's like they do it for the set or if they're gonna have it come down on his face. I wonder if that's like a thing where he's
It's
like, "Hey,
probably more like that because that wig's gotta be difficult to wear.
yeah." Um, Either way, so live action remakes, there's a lot that is happening, and Disney's
Oh,
been
yeah.
doing it for a while with all the princess stuff. We got next year the highly anticipated
Mhm.
uh
Snow White.
Snow White. The internet's on fire. It got ratioed out of oblivion. Um,
I don't even know if I would not be surprised if they just fully canceled it.
all right, but here, let's ask this question. Are live action remakes ruining the originals? All right. This is the okay, so first I'm gonna before I go negative with it, I want to just say this is the rationale that these studios, not just Disney, but
Mhm.
now you have um, DreamWorks, who owns the IP for How
Mhm.
to Train Your Dragon. They are there's multiple people dabbing into this. What they're doing is they are just wanting to take excuse me. They're wanting to take the most successful stories, the ones that are very much loved. How to Train Your Dragon, the first movie was incredibly loved, incredibly
Yeah.
well received. People freaking love that movie. Moana, the kids love that movie. It's the second biggest thing next to Frozen, right? And so they're just trying to capitalize on the success. And they're saying, like, well, we want to introduce it to a new audience of kids, like How to Train Your Dragon, because How to Train Your Dragon came out like over a decade ago.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's a nostalgia that we have being like 90s babies and
Mhm.
growing up with, I know Snow White
Shrek,
was well, the classic Disney movies they're making
Prince of
live
Egypt.
action. Yeah.
Well, that's DreamWorks too, but
Um, Snow White, I know that was way before our time, but
mhm.
we grew up with those classic
Little
Disney movies
Mermaid, Aladdin.
that
We grew up with all these.
our kids and like your kid right now isn't going to really see in the same way that we did
Oh
because
yeah,
of all
because
the movies
that's all
coming
we
out.
had,
And
right?
so maybe they are trying to capture that again with a live action version of it. But to be honest, this is another topic that's been swirling around the internet lately. This just seems like the wet dream or just to pleasurize these Disney adults that
Well,
are
here's
out
the
there.
thing. Yeah, so this is what that it's twofold. You introduce to a new generation of kids who are like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old.
Mhm.
They're going to see, they might be introduced to the live action How to Train Your Dragon. All right.
Yeah.
Because they were born when the first one came out. All right.
Mhm.
They were about to be born. And so they may have not seen the original. Plus, they're more likely to watch it if their parents, who are like my age, who I was like, what, 14 when the first one came out?
How to Train Your Dragon? Yeah, maybe some.
Maybe. I don't know. Whenever I say I was a kid, I always go to 14. I act like so much stuff happened when I was 14. It came out sometime when I was
You
a
definitely
teenager.
were,
was a
we're right
teenager.
there
Yeah.
because I'm pretty sure the same weekend you,
Let's not get hung up on this. Basically, what I'm trying to say is they are more likely to let their kids watch it because they're curious. So you grew up on Lilo and Stitch. You watched the mess out of it in the early 2000s. All right.
Mhm,
You had it on VHS, then you got it on DVD. Now it's on streaming. And then it comes out live action. They're like, yeah, Lilo and Stitch is back. And they put it on for your kids.
mhm.
So it is capitalizing on the old nostalgia mixed with the hope of introducing a new IP. Here's the thing, though. I think it does, in some capacity, ruin the old. So, for one, I think it's wrong to try to bring in all of the values that current day Hollywood has into these beloved films. So, like, for some reason, they are, and look, I don't have any issue with making characters black. I don't. But this is a Viking story. All right. So, like, okay, to be honest, if HBO takes Harry Potter and makes Hermione black, which is a really big, heated debate online right now, people are not going to like that. And some people won't care and some people will like it. But it ultimately doesn't matter. People won't like it because the character in the books was not black. With How to Train Your Dragon, I'm not a fan that they're making Astrid black because this is about Vikings.
I
They
don't
weren't there
know.
weren't black Vikings.
I think I
I
don't
know
want
people are
I
gonna
feel
say
like
it's
I
a
don't wanna touch
fantasy.
this with a 10-foot pole because I feel like this is
Be
just
honest,
a
just
way no, this is just a way for us to fight over a movie to get more hype for the movie. It's the thing where people want to have conflict around the movie because then more people will watch it. It's just
but
their
the thing
marketing
is,
scheme.
you think it's their marketing scheme? You think they
Yes.
on purpose
Yes.
recast and
I
that's a
don't know
hot
if
take.
specifically like they're yes, they're casting, but maybe they're putting out in the whispers. They're like, "Oh, Astrid's black. Let's stir up that hype around that." And so I it's another way to market a movie in so that more people would be talking about it. More people will go look at it, go watch it because it is a talking point. Everybody likes the drama more than
But they're
they do the movie.
well, but the weird thing is they are gonna literally instead of like taking a serious role, they're doing a shot for shot remake. Everything looks the same except it just has more detail to it. Like Hiccup, his hairdo is the exact same. All right. Um, Toothless looks exactly the same as the animated, except he has more live action detail. There's more like correct, like realistic lighting and shadows. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
exactly the same look, except it looks like it could be inserted into live action world. It's the same with Lilo and Stitch. They're going to do live action people with a Stitch that looks exactly the same as the cartoon. And I'm saying I don't think that's a bad thing, but on some level with How to Train Your Dragon, why wouldn't you, just because of the nature of the story, go a little outside the box? What I'm
Yeah.
saying is they're doing an almost shot for shot remake of the cartoon, except they're like recast. Recast, meaning race swap. And I don't care if they do it for certain IPs. Like I said, Hermione can be cast black. I really don't care. I think I'm going to like the show either way because it's HBO. However, this, a story about Vikings, I don't see why you would do that.
Mhm.
Like, I just want it to be consistent.
We're consistent. It's consistently bad. They're doing consistency.
Okay, so do you think that, like, looking at How to Train Your Dragon, looking at Lilo and Stitch from the limited we have of that so far, of
So
both of these, do you think it's has potential based on past experiences to ruin the originals?
no, I don't think it's gonna ruin the original. I don't care really about Lilo and Stitch or, Moana or anything like that because it's just going to be, you know, actual actors playing these characters. I'm really looking forward to How to Train Your Dragon because the dragon element of it will be very fun, and I wanna see the dragons. I wanna see how they design these dragons for the
We
live
saw
action.
it. You saw it in the trailer, though.
I know, but I wanna watch a movie about it. I wanna
All
watch
right.
that.
But don't you think there's something wrong so if I go to put on Disney Plus or whatever streamer, maybe Peacock has the DreamWorks stuff, right? I go to turn on and I hit How to Train Your Dragon. I want to watch it with my daughter, who's like in a couple years she'll be 5, right?
Yeah.
In 4 years she'll be 5. I guess almost 3. And then I turn it on and it says How to Train Your Dragon, animated, live action. They're just sitting next to each other.
Mhm.
And I have to make a choice. Do I want to watch the animated version of this story or the live action version of this story? Like, yeah, the one hit wonder theatrical release, it is going to be probably relatively successful, maybe. But then the shelf life of these movies, I think it degrades the original. It's like to say we're going to do a remake of A Bug's Life, but we're going to do live action, meaning it's going to look more real. So it's going to look like ants that look more like ants instead of human features. You know what I mean? Kind of like they did The Lion King. We're going to
Yeah.
do The Lion King, but it's going to look like actual lions, even though it's still all animated. Like there's nothing real in that movie and they don't emote well. We're
No.
just doing it for S&Gs. And so the question is like, does it actually ruin the originals? I say on the shelf life, yes. Because now you got like 2 versions of the same thing. It's just, and they're both animated in a lot of ways, but they have the same title. It's the exact same story. It's like they're just making these to try to have a theatrical success, and then that's it. And then who
Yeah.
knows what happens to them after that.
I mean, I don't know why they're doing it. I don't really think it's ruining the original. Maybe it is in a sense because you're downplaying the original movie, but I I think this just comes down to they keep making redoing things because they don't know how to make original movies that are going to be successful anymore. They can't everything that's original is flopping, and so they're just redoing the old stuff.
Yeah, no, they've talked about that. Pixar is their future strategy is to do sequel, prequel, remake, original idea, sequel, prequel, remake, and then another original idea. So every other film is going to be a mix of both because they don't want to risk with a flop of an original idea and then do another original idea that has the risk again of flopping. Here's what I say: bring down the production costs. Like, software is getting better, AI is helping you. Equipment costs a lot less these days for production. Like, bring all of these production costs down in a big way. So if it's not a huge success, it's not as much of a punch to the face.
I think that really comes down to probably SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah,
As
it's
AFTRA.
unions. It's unions
I
that are the
union
problem.
unions have unionized so heavy that when you go on set, you have to have food for everybody constantly. You have
Yeah.
to have trailers for everybody.
You have to have a
All
certain
these
amount
actors.
of union members on every production. Like, you have to have a certain amount of people employed.
So I think that's what keeping up the cost when it's not these
Everything's
big
bloated.
companies. Yeah,
Everything's
everything's
bloated.
bloated by the union.
Unions. Yeah,
But
I definitely 100% agree with you. I was gonna bring that up if you didn't. The unions are a major part of the problem when it comes to these budgets, which is why it's like every time a movie comes out, it's like, yeah, this was $200 million. Yeah, this was $300 million. Like, yeah, of course.
I
And
think
you watch it and it's like, this was $300 million. This looks horrible. This is a horrible story, but it's like, just to freaking get this made, the unions made us dish out all this money, and in some capacity there is some wasting along the way, but yeah, it's bloated and it's causing waste.
I think that in one hand, business like union stuff protects the actors and employees, so it's good. But in some sense, the business side of things is It is messing up with creative people, and it's messing with the creative side of filmmaking
Well,
because
this is
it's
what I
only
think.
becoming business.
Yes, it's I think anything that is gets too bloated, and here's so you talk about Hollywood gets too bloated. Hollywood includes the unions. And it drops the creativity, like you're saying, just it throws it out the window because everything is about the exchange of money at this point instead of actual creativity. So instead of people fighting for the best story, they more so are just having the mandate to be on set because of legal reasons. So
Mhm.
instead of Pixar being able to say, we want 20 of the best animators in the world, they have to take freaking 75 of low shelf skilled individuals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's how it works. And you have to pay all those people. And so it's in the same way that everyone's like, "Oh, big business is so corrupt and unions protect the individual." Well, at this point, and if your union is over like 100 people probably, maybe less, if your union's over like 50 people large, then you're already getting too big. Like you're already becoming too much of a
Okay.
monopoly
Well,
of the system.
let's close this out a little bit because now you're talking out of your booty right
I'm
now.
not talking out of my booty.
Yeah.
I want to live in a right to work state is what I'm saying.
Um, I think it might be, but you decide for yourself if the live action version is messing up the original, and let us know in the comments.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to introduce the chosen stuff?
Absolutely. Are you excited for this one?
Season 5 teaser
Let me
for
ask you this. Have you finished season 4?
so I have gone back and I have not finished it, but
Oh my
I've
goodness.
been watching an episode a night for the past week. Um to where I only have, I think, 3 episodes left.
All right. Hurry up. There out of everything to watch, this is the least it's free. You can watch it for free.
Well,
It's the easiest to
no,
watch.
yeah, I do have a little qualms with uh the chosen people and Dallas. I know you're probably not watching, but I'm gonna call you out specifically. Your app sucks. Your app
Hey,
sucks.
they're
I
balling on a
so
budget, bro.
I know, but they have this thing. So
I don't
you
ever have
can't
any
watch
issues.
you can't watch the new season 4 on like Disney Plus or anything yet. They only have 1 through 3 on Disney
Yeah.
Plus. So you have to go specifically to the app to
The
watch it.
chosen app,
Yes.
yes.
If you go to the app and you just do it as guest, you say you're a guest, you don't have an actual account, then the last season is locked. You cannot watch it. It has a locked symbol on it. And
But
so
do you know
you have
why they do that?
yes, listen, but I created it. I tried to create an account because I wanted to watch it. And I'm like, okay, I have no problem creating an account because I want to support the chosen people and all this stuff.
Okay, okay.
It took me, and I'm not lying, 30 minutes to create an account because when I did it, they were like, your username's not right, your password doesn't meet the right criteria. And like I had to go back and forth and back and
This
forth.
sounds
And
like a you problem.
no. This is a chosen app problem where it's way too difficult, especially if you're doing it on your phone, it's maybe easier. But I was trying to do it on my TV, and um, it's not easy to do it on your TV.
Jonathan, good to see you, bro. Hope you're doing well. I think you can move back to South Carolina, didn't you? I think you did. Yeah, Joshua saw Wicked. He
I did
said
see
it
Wicked.
he loved it. He's a musical guy. I'm only hearing good things about it. And I said
Yeah, it
earlier,
was good.
I was saying earlier, I'm really glad to hear that people enjoy it because so often we get hyped films like Barbie that everyone watches and makes a lot of money, but it's actually not a good movie. I'm just glad to hear that Wicked is
Yeah.
actually enjoyed by people who care about the IP. That's
Um,
what that's all I have to say. I haven't seen it yet, and
re
I'm debating if I'm going to go watch Gladiator. To be honest,
Jonathan, I'm just curious, what'd you like about the movie specifically? Because I know I was talking about, I really thought Ariana Grande did a phenomenal job with her acting.
The cinematography with natural light, or at least natural looking, really grounded the crazy looking sets in reality. Yeah, I heard there's a ton. I saw some behind the scenes stuff. There was a ton of practical sets, but Joshua was saying that it felt claustrophobic.
Until we got to the end, I thought it felt claustrophobic, yeah. Most
And
of the
I
sets
think,
at the
like, the
school.
claustrophobic nature is kinda like it doesn't feel vast, or if you're seeing a vast scenery, it feels too animated, it feels too much like a CG world. I don't know. Let me know what you thinking. But we're gonna jump in. We'll come back to chat afterward, but we're gonna do a reaction to The Chosen season 5 teaser. It's called The Last Supper. It just came out today. We're gonna do a reaction to it. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna talk a little bit about The Chosen. So let's
Okay.
go ahead and jump into this. Here we go.
Listen carefully, because I'm going to tell you what is about to happen.
Hmm.
A lot more followers now.
This is
Now look at
my
the crowd.
Father's word. Oh, let me never
Whoa, look at all those
forget
people.
Mhm.
that though the wrong seems off so strong,
Hmm.
The hour is coming.
God is the
That was that
ruler,
was
yeah.
that looked awesome.
That's really good.
The
Oh, yeah.
first thing that I know I was saying it a couple times, but the crowds and looks so much better from even the last season that they had a big budget on. This looks
Mhm.
so good.
Yeah, I think that so the many people, all right, they're in Jerusalem. This is going to be leading up right through the Last Supper. Probably my prediction is to the arrest. All right. I think he's going to get to the point where Jesus is arrested. I think that's where the season's going to end. All right. And so they're going to go through where he rebukes the people at the temples, the turning of the temple tables, uh, pulls out a whip. That's pretty gnarly. Starts whipping. And yeah, the speaking of, going what we were talking about, this doesn't feel crowded at all, as far as claustrophobic. It feels like the sets are large, and I think a big part of that is
Yeah.
because they're in Texas, they're shooting into landscapes with real sets, and they only have minor additions of animation to the environment, right?
Mhm.
There's
Do you think
occasionally, where they have a green screen window, and so they make the environment looking out the window is animated, but that's what I think is exciting about it, and it makes it feel right.
um so last season they kind of ended with them about approaching what city were they? They were I haven't gotten here yet. I just know from you talking about it.
Jerusalem.
They were going into Jerusalem at the end of the last season. Do you think this season is going to be only really showing us them in Jerusalem?
Yes. Yeah, that's gonna be the whole season. Now, they might do cutaways to characters who are not at Jerusalem. Like, I think it would be how much people loved Gaius, the centurion who got saved
Yeah.
in the last season, how much people loved Gaius. I think it would be, a problem to not have him somewhere in the story in season 5, right? So
Yeah.
from the other city that Gaius that they were at, where Gaius got saved. I'm blanking on the name of that city. But I'm just saying, like, there's going to be characters that are not in Jerusalem that are in the story that I think it would be a bad move to not bring them back into the story, at least for a few scenes for season 5. But the majority of everything, all the followers, Jesus, most of everybody's there in Jerusalem. And it's leading up to the crucifixion. I mean,
Mhm.
he's literally not going to leave the city again until or the surrounding area. He'll leave the city. I think he gets to go up and pray. Is that it? Does he go up on the mountain, or is that in the garden?
He,
I need to read that account in the
he
Bible
he
more.
does he does he does do that. I mean, I'm still trying to watch that last season, so I don't know what all they added in that season or what we're leading into for this
Look,
season.
we're entering the season with him riding into Jerusalem on a donkey. All right,
Okay.
that is how season 5 is starting. So he's going to be in Jerusalem the entire season. And that means the story's slowing way down, all right?
Mhm.
Because there's up until this point, it's been like hit this moment, Sermon on the Mount, feeding of the 5,000. You know what I mean? It's season to season, it's been moment, and then a unmentioned amount of time passes, right?
Mhm.
So we don't know if it's been weeks, we don't know if it's been months. It's just an amount of time. This whole season is going to be 1 week.
Well, I think this season so far they've had moment because they have a lot of characters where other stories talking about the life of Jesus, they show us Jesus and what Jesus is doing and like show us his perspective. Where this is the chosen, so they have a lot more characters to show us the
To
perspective
flesh out.
of
Yes.
yeah. So they have like the multiple disciples, they have, the centurion, they've got all these characters that they are trying to get their feelings and perspectives
Mhm.
of these moments. So each moment they have to do a lot with,
Yeah.
and that makes sense why they're slowing it down. It's like this is a big moment. So like
Mhm.
one episode will probably be the Last Supper. The supper is going to be the whole thing, but we're going to see he'll probably like show us each disciple probably preparing for the Last Supper,
Yeah. So
and
let's
like
let's list off the ones that's going to be the biggest focus. So outside of Jesus, the biggest focus is
Mhm.
going to be on Judas this season. 100%.
Okay.
Judas is going to be the biggest
I
thing
don't
because
I don't think he's gonna be the
everything's going to be
biggest,
in
but he
ev-
will definitely be a moment that will I think this is how he'll play it, in my opinion. I think Dallas is going to have very big moments and then be like, "Oh, don't forget about Judas." He's almost gonna make it no, listen. He's gonna make it
Okay.
feel like Judas is going to be there as a disciple, but then he's gonna cut to Judas like, taking some money from when he's collecting and being like,
Well,
let's
he's not
let's
look.
or like he's gonna do something like sneaky to kind of us to see Judas is kind of has this character, and then it's gonna be big moment, and then it's gonna cut back to him. So it's not gonna be like on him, but he'll have cutbacks to be like, don't forget about how
Yeah,
he's
but
interpreting all this.
they've already done a lot of the groundwork for Judas to start being upset and doubting of Jesus. So this season just has to do the legwork to get him to where he takes action on
Yeah,
how he feels already in the story. Because he's already doubting Jesus being the conquering king, which he's expecting. All right.
yeah.
Um, and because of that, it's going to lead him to take action in this season. I think the betrayal is actually going to happen because when we get to the Last Supper, 100%, there's going to be a really heavy moment when Jesus says that there's going to be a disciple, one of you who's going to betray me, right?
Mhm.
And everybody's questioning, it's not going to be me. Is it me? It's not going to be me. Peter's like, it would never be me. And then he looks at
Mhm.
Peter. He's like, you're going to deny me thrice. That moment's
Right.
going to be huge for Judas because it's going to be like the whole room starts vibrating around him or something. You know what I mean? Like it's going to make him, it's going to be a really um, emotionally satisfying scene because they've taken 2 seasons. It'll probably be closer to the end of the season, maybe the second to last episode where they do the Last Supper,
Mhm.
and in my estimation, I think they're actually going to arrest Jesus at the end of the season, or it's going to show slow motion shots of the centurions being led by Judas or someone on their way to arrest Jesus as he's like praying. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's gonna be, and it's gonna be like a close up of him, like teary eyed, slow motion, just ethereal music. There's gonna be fog around him, and he knows what's coming. We know what's coming. We see the slow motion shots of the Centurions coming. We
Yeah.
see it all happening,
Is
and
we
he's
have
going to cut off like right there. So it'll open up with him probably in shackles for season 6. That's my cinematically, that's how I'm seeing it take place. That's how I'm seeing the season end. I wasn't terribly far off.
do you think
Go ahead.
do you think I'm just kind of taking a step back and looking at 5 and 2 studios now. Do you
Uh-huh.
think that it was a little too early for them to make all these announcements of all these shows
Oh,
prior to all of like them kind of being where they're at with this season or these show
No.
this knowing that we're having 2 more? Or do you think it was good?
you got to prime the audience.
Prime?
You already have a loyal baked in audience. Remember, they're still trying to reach, they want to reach, I believe, 1 billion people. Is that what it is? Is it 1 billion or 100 million? I think it's 1 billion people.
Probably 1 billion.
I know initially their whole thing was like Game of Thrones could get 1 billion people to watch it or something like that. And so we wanted that many people to watch a show about Jesus. There was some kind of like call on season 1 that was like a marketing goal sounded similar to that. And so with these other shows, you have to prime the audience. So remember, 5 and 2 Studios is a profitable business, but since they do not have a subscription model and they have to they want to provide it, give it away for free, and they want to keep doing that. Even though they have theatrical releases and such, they still have contracts. It's still expensive. They have to still fundraise for these other projects,
Yeah.
So when The Chosen is done or before The Chosen is finished, they're already going to start their fundraising for these other projects. You have to think about this. It's not like Hollywood. You got to think of indie market stuff. It's not like Hollywood. You can't just say, we're going to have a secret project in the background that's being made, and then we're going to release the trailer, and then the whole marketing campaign rolls out to get people to go to the theaters. No, we have to do the whole marketing campaign for the fundraiser. That's going to be years. And then we have to execute on the show. And then we have to do the marketing campaign to get people to watch the show after that. So really, you're talking about 2 marketing campaigns. Investing, donations, and then selling of the product / giving it away, get people to watch it. So no, they're going it's a completely different business model than Hollywood. So no, it's not too early to announce it. I think the audience is ready, and whenever they're like open up the donation box for those projects, they're going to be chomping at the bit.
I want to take a step back a little bit. Go back to a few Jonathan's comments. Ariana Grande cracked me up. Her performance was
Reminiscent of Kate from Victorious, Kat from Victorious, but less ditzy. Yeah, I would agree. Anything else than that? I remember Kat from Victorious.
I feel like
I was like, this girl is fun.
Back to that.
Has she been in anything else besides her music? Has she been in acting?
I can't recall, but maybe I can't recall. But yeah, she did a phenomenal job with her acting. And then he also was talking about the sets down here.
All right, so the sets did feel
closed up, closed off. Yeah, that was my feel. I don't know if they were trying to do like theater stages or if they just felt close, but it felt weird to me. I don't know if it was just a combination of the animation with it, but it was weird.
This is I don't know if there's just an issue with studios lately, or again, we were on the whole thing about unions and stuff. I don't know if this is a common issue, but it's like the same thing that Rings of Power is doing. They're supposed to have this huge epic story, and then they get into like a city inside of Numenor, and it feels like a stage set. That's like small. It's small, and it has like 4 extras in the background. And it's like, this is supposed to be the Numenor city. Why does it feel like a little small stage? And what I'm saying is like, with Wicked, if there's like this weird tendency in Hollywood production and stagecraft right now to make these small sets and try to amp it up with animation, I'm like, that's the wrong move because everything feels small. We're watching a movie because we want it to feel epic and we want to feel engrossed in the world. We don't want it to feel like a stage play that was filmed. Really enjoyed the lighting, sound design, and camera movement. I'm sure the lighting, the sound design, and the cameras are probably awesome. I think there's just an issue with overuse of CGI in all of Hollywood, not just with this movie. And then another issue with the stage design.
Do you I know we're looking at a movie based off of the musical, the Broadway performance. But how did you like, Jonathan,
Well, he is
contract
playing
with-
Call of Duty. He might not be able to. He might not
is
be able
he-
to get right
did
back
he
to us.
say that?
He says, "Sorry, try to play Call of Duty." Multitasking, bro.
with the original Wizard of Oz movie. Do you think the color felt good, or if it felt too like they were trying to create the color palette of the original Wizard of Oz, but in a modern way that didn't quite feel right? Or do you think they matched it pretty well? I'm just curious how you felt, because I
What did you think, Joshua? Do you think it was too saturated?
it felt good with a modern saturation. Yeah, that felt
Did the
a
yellow
little bit
brick
more.
road just shine?
Yeah, it did shine. There was a moment, I don't know if this is in the original play, but there's a moment where they go see the wizard and he's like, I want to create a road, but I don't know what color to make it. And they're like, do you want it to be green? Do you want it to be purple? And they're like, what about yellow? And it's kind of like very kind of cheesy moment, but watch the
It's been a
original,
long
it felt
time.
good color wise.
Do you think we'd get copyright written if we pulled up a clip from the original?
Just a clip? No. I mean, or
Alright,
even
let's
a picture, still frame it. I mean, you definitely
in what is the land called? Oz?
Munchkin Land. Do Munchkin Land.
No, I want to see when they're on the yellow brick road, or I want to see when the color. Dorothy, black and white.
Just say
Let's see.
color Wizard of Oz.
I want to see the transformation happen.
I mean, I don't even know what year the original movie came out, but it was like a million years ago. So
A million years ago. I wouldn't call it
Yeah.
a million.
it was
Let's
some
see.
time.
Sorry, I'm waiting for this ad. I gotta
What?
skip it. Okay, here we go. Here, do you hear this?
1939.
Here, check it out.
Okay, so they clearly have painted like very hand painted backgrounds.
Okay, check. No, well, maybe hand painted. I don't know how they did color on film back then, but okay, so it's got this golden tint to the image. There it is.
Yeah, like the hand painted background. Okay, stop, pause it, and just maybe skip around.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, for the day, this is incredibly saturated. But the movie, obviously, Wicked's going to be way more intense than this was.
Oh yeah, because it's a modern. It's in
It's
2024, not in
Yeah.
39.
Everything is
but-
exaggerated. And also it's the same idea with thumbnail creation on YouTube. You want to make sure that it's bright and grabs your attention more than the dull, unsaturated Gladiator 2 rough, gritty.
I definitely will give
you
it
know.
props over if I want to compare it to another modern movie. Wicked versus Oz the Great and Powerful. Oz was so animated. I don't know if you remember that movie with James Franco. It was so animated. It was like the whole thing was animated, and it
Complete
felt
green screen. Didn't
fake.
even look like
Yeah.
it was working well with the
So
ground.
I definitely will give them props. They at least tried to create some sets for it.
Well, I think everything the actors touched in this movie, set wise and kind of close background stuff, was all real. I
Mhm.
think that was the pull if you watch the behind the scenes. The problem is everything beyond the close sets was all fake.
Yeah, and the animals. Peter Dinklage played Professor, I can't remember his name, the goat professor, and he was animated and looked very fake, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think Peter Dinklage needs to take a break, to be honest.
Maybe
After what he said about closing off other dwarf actors from the industry because they played little people, and he's over here still playing. He's playing like a goat in The Wizard of Oz. Come on, man. Come on. He literally was shaming people who wanted to play the dwarves in Snow White. That's crazy. He needs to take a break and think about stuff for a little bit. I'm not going to say he's a bad actor. He's a great actor. He just has some wacky ideas that he's let slip. That I think is kind of hypocritical.
So you'd kind of say he's short-sighted with his ideas.
My gosh.
I had to say it. I had to.
Gosh. You're so dumb. All right, that's a wrap, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thanks, Jonathan, for hanging out with us in the chat. Really appreciate your insight. It means a lot. Go enjoy, play Call of Duty as long as you want. I believe it's the new one that's come out. Maybe an old one. I don't know. Enjoy your time. Thanks for joining us on the live stream. We'll see you again next time. Later.